Saving Beige by Kimmy L. Davis. Chapter 4, The Prince of Wands. Hey, beautiful, a deep voice called from behind me. Ethan, I smiled, probably a little too brightly. Did I still need to be playing hard to get at this point? I wish I had someone to ask. I looked up as my sister Beth squeezed past me without a word. Besides her, I mumbled under my breath. Ethan caught up and looped his arm around my shoulder. What? Nothing. Did you finish your homework for Cope, or are you planning to duck out to the counselor again before he collects it? I'm insulted, Beige. I was in need of some serious emotional counseling the other day. Trying to figure out where to take you on our date this weekend was gut-wrenching. He placed his hand against his heart. It killed me emotionally, and if the timing just happened to coincide with Cope's collection of our essays on the establishment of Jamestown, well, that was total coincidence, darling. I tried to giggle, but it sounded fake. He was trying to be amusing and deserved recognition for the attempt. Fake giggle or not, he didn't seem to notice my eternal unease at our social interactions. You looking forward to Saturday night? He asked. Something about the way he grinned made me anxious. I have some really cool stuff planned. You think your parents could extend your curfew until midnight instead of 11, just this once? For anybody else, I would say no way, but for you, they like you, so I'll ask. That's all I can promise. Of course, the one time it would be a good idea for my parents to stick to my curfew, they probably wouldn't. We entered the classroom and Sarah's eyes lit up. Seeing Ethan and me enter the room as a couple really made her happy. I needed to start getting used to this. If he was going to be my first love, and my first, I needed to start acting the part. When I saw the other couples around, I tried to watch them and see what made a good relationship. Most of them were always touching or holding hands. No problem there. I really liked it when Ethan touched me. When he kissed me the first time, his hands had wandered, and as I'd let them, all I could think about was how my parents would have freaked. A lot of couples seemed to talk only to each other and ditch their friends. I didn't necessarily like that, because no matter how funny or smart Ethan was, there was no way he could be a better friend than Sarah, especially since he really wasn't all that funny. But what he lacked in humor, he definitely made up for in brains and beauty. As if on cue, Sarah leaned over. He is so hot. Has he told you where you're going yet? No, it's a surprise, but he did ask me to try to get a curfew extension. All heads shifted towards us as Sarah let out a small squeal. Sarah, people are staring. Ethan sent us a knowing look. Mr. Cope took it as a sign to get started, and with the ring of the bell he was off, deep into the history of the 1600s in America. It wasn't all that boring, and he really was a great teacher, but I couldn't think about anything but Ethan and whether Saturday night would be the night. I let my thoughts wander. I'd learned about sex a long time ago with all the other girls in the 5th grade. I guess they thought we couldn't handle the information with maturity if we were in the same room as the opposite sex. Looking over at Justin Kerr, blowing spit bubbles as he doodled X-Men figures, I suppose they were probably right. Still, I'd only been taught what it was and not to have it. I needed to know how to make the decision for myself. In the social hierarchy that was Garrison Prep, boys like Ethan were few and far between. I considered myself lucky to have his full interest. Would I lose it if I turned him down? And what if I did decide to do it? How would it all go down? I didn't want my first time to be in a car, so that was definitely out, and I doubted he could get a hotel room. Best case scenario, his parents would be out of town, and we could go there after dinner, or wherever he was taking me. The sound of younger kids heading out for recess pulled me back to reality, and when I looked down at my paper, instead of Cope's notes, Sam's name filled every line. I felt a rush of adrenaline that made my breath catch. I'd been thinking about Ethan, but writing Sam's name? I looked around to see if anyone else noticed, but all eyes looked appropriately glazed. Deciding it would be much more beneficial to focus on the lecture, I folded the paper, stuck it deep in my folder, and returned my attention to the young teacher in front of the class. What had he been saying? Something about witches. Apparently towards the end of the 1600s there was something called the Salem witch trials. Nasty stuff from his perspective. But I bet if you'd asked my parents or the Sunday congregation, they'd have been all for it.